Lock Haven is the home of many small businesses, restaurants, salons, bars and grills, and many others. One coffee shop, however, has the most interesting upbringing of them all, Avenue 209 Coffee House of downtown Lock Haven. What started as a small coffee house, Avenue 209 became something larger than itself, growing into a center of Christian faith, fellowship, and community. Founder and pastor of Avenue 209, Joshua Grimes, is here today. Josh, thanks for being here today.
Hey, thanks, Brandon.
So, out of all the restaurants, as I said, Avenue 209, I think, is a great place for people to go and just, have a good conversation over a cup of coffee.
Sure. Yeah.
How did you start that business?
Well, I'm happy to hear you say that, because that's being that space where people can have those kinds of conversations was part of our dream from the very beginning. It wasn't just to serve coffee, but was to create a living room for the community. But how I started this goes back a long time. I've always been kind of an entrepreneur. I've started a number of businesses. In fact, when I was a kid, my parents would send me through town pulling a wagon filled with strawberries, and I'd knock on people's door and sell them strawberries. So anyway, so I wanted to start a coffee shop for a long time. It was something that was kind of in the back of my mind, and I loved coffee, and I wanted to do this. At the same time, though, I also I had been placed as I was a pastor of a small church in Lock Haven, and in my mind, it was either one or the other. Either you were going to be a pastor and go into ministry as a full-time career, or you were going to do business. But after about a year of really struggling in a small church with no growth at all, I began to think, is there a better way to do this? A way that maybe helps us break out of our traditional molds of doing church, as well as, is it possible for us not to just build a church building, which is the way we normally do, that we use one day a week, but what if we had a space that was helpful to the community all week long, a space that could provide, employment, as well as a place for the arts and entertainment, and roll that into a place on Sunday that we could have church. And that's kind of where this idea of let's start a church in a coffee shop was born. A lot of big churches will put coffee shops in their church. But the problem with that is only Christians go to that church, and only Christians are going to buy their coffee. And that wasn't our goal at all. We wanted to be like a great place for the community, regardless of your faith, to come and have a great cup of coffee. And then on Sunday, if you wanted to, you're more than welcome to sit down and go to church in the coffee shop. So that's how that idea was born. So we ended up selling the old building and leveraging the equity in that to start Avenue 209.
So you get the best of both worlds.
That's right.
You get the best of both. You get to have a coffee shop and a church. That's definitely something that's not really prevalent in communities all over the country. When you first started marketing your brand, in what ways did you advertise?
Oh, we were very traditional. So Avenue 209 just had its 8th birthday. We've been around for 8 years. So I'm really proud of that. I'm so happy. The national average is like 8 out of 10 coffee shops close in the first 3 years. So we've survived. When we first launched, we did things like we took out an ad buy in the local newspaper. We worked with the radio station to do some advertising with them. For a while, we did a trade thing. We'd give them coffee, and they would give us ad time. So we were more traditional that way. I know the Express did an article on us. That was a great way to get our name out there, and maybe some T-shirt sales. I think that helps us with our branding. From the very beginning, we sold Avenue 209 T-shirts, and so that was how we started out.
So speaking of advertising from 8 years ago to now, what would you say would be the biggest ways you advertise now?
Yeah, so there's been a pivot in our advertising where we've transitioned from more traditional means of advertising to social media campaigns. Most recently, we had a guy come and produce a series of like 30-second videos clips, all right, that are perfect to share on Facebook or Instagram. And just with like a small marketing budget, I think we promoted it for 3 days on Facebook, and it had almost 10,000 views.
Oh, wow.
I mean, where else can you spend $40 and have 10,000 views of an ad campaign? And so social media has become a huge way in which we market ourselves. Facebook is always making it more challenging because they want to monetize it, so you're starting to have to pay more in order to get yourself out there. There's some more grassroots things too. We sell bumper stickers. So if we can get a brand loyalty, people who love our shop, and then they become ambassadors for us, then we've really hit our sweet spot.
Yeah, totally. I think that social media is a huge way for, especially for local businesses and small businesses, to advertise their brand and just get themselves out there. Around college campuses, throughout the 3 years that I've been here, there's been kids that have Avenue 209 stickers.
Okay.
So I know that you guys give those out, and you use other collateral materials too, such as like brochures. I think that's great. It's a great way to advertise. Students around campus often refer to Avenue 209 as a bridge to the community. How was that bridge created?
Well, I'm happy that that's what they say. That was one of our goals when we opened. And it was part of a strategic location. We had opportunity, we could have looked for space more downtown in the centralized business district, but there seemed to be a bit of a rift. Maybe it was unspoken, but sometimes it was spoken, between the university and the downtown businesses. They would complain that college students seldom frequented their establishments. And because the university is just enough off campus, out of downtown, it's easy for a student to spend their whole 4 years in this little world on campus and never even venture downtown. And so we wanted to kind of restore some of that and be strategic in how we approached the university and our downtown. So probably the primary way in which we've done this was determining to place our coffee shop on the edge of our business district, but close to the downtown. We're about as close to the university as we can get without moving off of the main strip. Because once we moved, if we were to be on South Fairview Street, no local people would ever find us down there. So that's one thing. We were a bridge because we also employ a lot of college students. In the 8 years that we've been here, more than probably 70% of our employees have been students. All right. So we love college students. So we're a bridge that way. We partner with the university on the International Students Organization.
Yeah.
They do Culture Through Coffee.
Culture Through Coffee, yes.
Yep. So we love the university, and we try to have a strong relationship with them. We also love our downtown, so we're members of our downtown business district, and we work hard with them to kind of promote, a good growing relationship.
So I'm sure people are wondering, how is a coffee shop church service different from a traditional church service that you would have in a church building?
Yeah.
Can you explain to the audience how differently you approach that, or the different platform in which you use?
Sure. So, in the sense of what goes on Sunday, it's pretty normal where there's singing, there's a sermon on the stage. So the same stage that you have live music on Friday nights with local musicians. Now, I'm up there giving a message. I think that if you are, and this is what we've observed, people who grew up in church oftentimes do not stay at our church because it's a little too weird for them.
Yeah.
They're used to the more established kind of church. People who did not grow up in church, or who are just kind of searching spiritually, or maybe have had bad experiences in a traditional church, feel a lot safer at the coffee shop.
For sure.
And so, they're able to sit in the same chair that they had a latte in and studied for their exam on, Friday, and then come back to that same space and go to church. And so there's a lot more, I think it removes a barrier that people experience in terms to going to church. Now, it creates some weird moments too. Sometimes people will come in on Sundays thinking that we're open for business.
Yeah.
And so we always have to have greeters at the door to kind of catch them on their way in and make sure that they are you here for church, or are you here for just coffee? So anyway, coffee's free on Sunday. So.
There you go.
I never know if people are coming to church because they want to come to church or they just want free coffee. But.
Oh, it's a good incentive. It's definitely a
right.
good incentive. All right, last question.
Sure.
In what ways does Avenue 209 get involved in the community?
So we've mentioned already some of the initiatives we do to work with the university. We also, for 5 or 6 years, we held a music competition called Rock the Haven.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun and brought out a lot of community support. Every month there's a rotating artist that we feature on the wall, so there's always new art that's taking place at the coffee shop. Nearly every Friday and Saturday there's some sort of live music happening. And I think it would also be, we've got a community room in the back, and a number of local organizations use that. It's free to nonprofits. The Rotary meets there, the SPCA meets there. So there's a number of ways in which we continue to partner, not only with the university, but with our downtown community as well.
Okay. And I know you do like food drives and stuff like that.
Yeah, sometimes. Yep. Sometimes we'll partner with organizations that just need a centralized location. If they want to do a canned food drive, they can come drop their food off there. We most recently sold tickets for the Life Center. It's a homeless shelter in town. They have a big fundraiser every year called the Daddy-Daughter Dance. What they needed, though, was a place other than the homeless shelter to sell tickets at that was open for business all, during general hours. And so we were that place. So anybody who wanted to buy a ticket to the event could come in, and we sold those tickets for the on their behalf. So anyway, those are ways in which we continue to partner.
Well, Josh, thank you very much.
Hey, thanks a lot
for coming in
here.
All right. Whoever thought that putting a coffee shop and a church together would become a staple within the community? If you are looking for a place to relax and have a cup of good coffee in a welcoming environment, come by Avenue 209. I'm Brandon Clements. Good night.